Hello and welcome to my channel and welcome to another Multichrome Monday. Today it's going to be a little bit different because I'm not going to be talking about Multichrome pressed shadows. These are going to be actually gels. What? I know, Multichrome gels, how cool. I did previously swatch a kind of cream slash gelish formula from Sydney Grace. I think it was called Alexander. It was really stunning, but these are different. These are from Kristen Leigh Cosmetics, and they're a very small indie brand based out of Massachusetts. And the first product I tried out from her was actually their iridescent highlighters, and I use them all the time, especially in the inner corner and under the brow highlight. I love those. I've had them for a couple of years now, and I think it's really cool that they have a gel formula for multi-chromes. It was definitely very intriguing. I was a bit skeptical because not only are they a little bit pricey, but also just with hooded eyes, I don't know what's going to last. For example, the ColourPop Jelly Mud shadows, they kind of flake off after even just a couple of hours on my lids. But they had a Black Friday sale, so I was able to snag 2 multi-chromes and 1 iridescent shade, and I will be swatching them later. For today's video, I will actually not be eye swatching them, and instead I'm going to be creating looks with them. So 1 on each eye. I have 2 shades. I have the shade Reality Check and Devious. So here's Devious. And then here's Reality Check. And even though this is not a multi-chrome, I'll show you anyway. This is the shade Hypnotic, and it's like a iridescent duochrome. And I do like the packaging of them. They are in jars, and they're nice glass jars, so they feel nice and heavy and sturdy. And because they're gel-like, they're not really messy per se, because they don't really move around unless you shake them, because they pretty much stay jiggling in their own little space in the jars. Now I also did a wear test with both of these shades just to see how long they last on my hooded oily lids. But the wear test is not a video with check-ins throughout the day. I just took a photo at the end of the day to see what the fallout was like. I try to not touch it or anything, just to show you how long they lasted on my lids. So I've already used these a couple of times, so I kind of have my thoughts already formed. So I will be giving my thoughts at the end of the video along with the wear test, and also just some live swatches just to further talk about the formula. So if you're interested to see the looks I created, please keep watching. So I zoomed you guys in, and so what I'm going to do is 2 different kinds of looks. And I forgot to mention in the beginning of the video that these are not going to match the wear test looks. I will do 1 half cut crease, and I will also do one where I just put the shade all over my lid just to make them a little bit different and show them in different ways. I did do a Christmas look with Devious, and I will post it right here. That was on my Instagram, and I believe it was a IG tutorial. And I really love that, and that wore amazing that day. I had it on all day. So let's get started. For the first look, I'm going to be using Devious, and this one has a green, pink, and like a beigey gold shift in it. So for that, I'm going to be pairing it with the Norvina Volume 2 palette. There's some greens, there's some yellows, so I thought it would be nice to play off of those shades. And I will be priming my lid with the Cut Crease Canvas by Makeup Revolution from the Norvina Volume 2 palette. I'm first going in with the shade B3, and I'm putting that right into my crease. I'm just really first putting down a base layer. I really want to have blended out, and then I'm going to just pack on if I feel like I lost a little bit of pigmentation. But as long as I have that first blended layer, and this one's going to be the half cut crease, so I'm just going to blow it out a little bit. Next, I'm going to take a clean brush and go in with a 2, and I'm going to blend that into the edges of B3. And then next I'm going in with E3, and I'm gonna just stamp that into the crease, kind of packing it on first. I'm also gonna put it on my outer crease a little bit, and then I'm just gonna blend that out. Now this palette doesn't have a really deep dark green, so I'm actually gonna reach for my Melt Cosmetics Smoke Sessions palette, and I'm going to go in with a Space Queen on the outer corner just to deepen it up a little bit more. I'm going to try to really keep this contained to this corner here. Next, I'm gonna cut the crease with the P. Louise base in shade 0. We're just gonna go little by little. I'm pretty much looking straight forward in doing this so I know where my crease line is. Next, I'm gonna go in with B3, and I'm gonna blend that into the deeper edge right in the center of my lid. And then I'm gonna take A2 and I'm gonna put it on my inner lid. And next I'm gonna put the devious shade on my lid. And for that I'm using a silicone applicator. You could definitely use a brush or a finger, but I just feel like this glides so well. I'm gonna blend out the edge with my finger just to make it a little bit more seamless there. And now I have to wait for it to dry for a minute. It kind of makes your lid feel like it's cold, like wet cold. But I think that's pretty dry, so let's move on to the other look. Same base on this side. So on this side I'm using Reality Check, which has a magenta. Of course you can't see it, I can really see it here, but it's like a green, gold, reddish, pinkish shift. So I'm gonna go in with my reds for this look. Of course, all my brushes are green now. And to pair with this multi-chrome, I'm gonna be using the ABH Nervina Volume 3 palette because it has some nice yellow, orange, red kind of tones that I think will really pair nicely with this shade. So I'm going in with A2 in the crease first. It's gonna be pretty monochromatic looks if you haven't guessed yet. I'm gonna keep this one a little bit more contained than I did on the other eye. I'm gonna blend it out with E4. I really love these Nervina palettes. I've been using them here and there, and they just work so well together. Like the eyeshadows just blend really easily. I'm just adding a little bit more A2 and blending it out into the yellow. For this look, I'm gonna put the shade all over my lid. Pretty quick and easy look. And on the lid, I'm gonna pack on C2. Go back to the smaller blending brush and blend it. And just adding a little bit to the corner now and blending it out so it's all nice and smooth. Now I'm gonna go in with Reality Check on the silicone applicator again, and I'm gonna put that all over my lid. Something that I've noticed since using these is that I feel like this one seems to be a little bit different in the formula because it feels like there's chunkier flakes in this versus the devious shade seems to have really fine particles. And I also can notice that in the swatch a little bit. I'm blending out the edges so I don't have any harsh, weird lines there. And then apply really nicely. The first time I wore this shade, it was not great, but we're gonna talk about that at the end of the video. So this is where I'm gonna leave it, and I'm gonna put on some lashes, and we're gonna do the lower lash. So I put on the Kiss Muse lashes, and I'm gonna do my waterline and my lower lash line. So on the green eye, I'm gonna go in with ColourPop Cream Gel Liner in Punch. Always so hard to do on camera for me with one hand. And then on this side, I'm going in with Crossed, also from ColourPop. So I'm going in with B3 from the Volume 2 palette. I'm going to put that to connect my lower lash line with my outer corner. And going in with Space Queen to deepen that up. And then with A2, I'm going in on the rest of the lash line. Right, first I'm gonna put down A2 here, and then C2. And then E4 on the inner corner right here. So these are the two finished looks. So now let's talk about my thoughts after wearing these, after trying these out, seeing how they last. I think one of the main things is these are not the typical blackened base multi-chromes. Like, they look like jeweled, like the Cleona, Terra Moons, Luxie, and JD Glow, like all the other ones. They're more translucent. I would actually compare these to the Divina Galaxy Dust Shifters. They're a bit more like that, but just in gel form. So I do think that a base will impact the way they look. So if they're over black versus over white. When I first used Devious, I put it over white, and I feel like you could see the shift a bit easier than when I just applied it now for this look with over the greens. But overall, I think the shift in Reality Check was a little bit easier to see. Something else I want to mention, I don't know if you were able to notice it when I was taking the close-up shots, but the Devious shade just feels more like iridescent, while Reality Check looks a bit flaky, and because it looks flaky, it looks a little patchy. Now let's talk about the longevity of these. Let me start with the shade Devious. There was a little bit of fallout throughout the day, but it wasn't really anything major. It looked just like a little bit of glitter. I'll pop up an image right here to show you how it wore throughout the day. Something I think that is important in longevity for these is to make sure you put them over something that has already been set. I would not recommend putting this directly over a P. Louise base, because I think the longevity will just not last because the P. Louise base just doesn't set. And that is after having it on from 7 a.m. to 5:30-ish p.m. Quite a bit of a long time, and that's really impressive of a wear. So as you can see in the photo, there's just a little bit here and there, but it's nothing too bad. So now let's talk about Reality Check. When I first wore this, I'm not sure if I wore it over a set base or not. It might have been over P. Louise or the Caprice Canvas, and it wasn't like over an eyeshadow, and it wore really bad. Within like an hour, it was all over my under eyelids. By the end of the day, I ended up basically wiping off my concealer because it was so bad and it was so noticeable, because like I said, this one looks like it's more flaky versus like really fine particles. So here's a picture of Reality Check on the lid, and this is again from 7 a.m. to about 5:30 p.m. You can see some flakes here and there. I did throughout the day have some larger flakes on my cheeks, so I did end up wiping those off just because they were pretty obvious and it wasn't really subtle, and I didn't want to walk around for the rest of the day flakes on my face. So I had a much better experience second time around wearing Reality Check. I do think that they lasted really well for how long they were on my lids for. So something I wanted to talk about is when I first watched these, Devious just swatches so much more opaque and it doesn't skip, while Reality Check was skipping on me and it didn't want to layer on. And this actually became quite a bit of an issue when I first tried putting these on. I didn't have a problem applying Reality Check with a brush or a finger. It just applied really nice, but then Reality Check was really strange because it almost like kept taking off. Like I would tap it on and it didn't want to stick, and so whenever I would tap over it, it would just lift up what was already down, so I would have to wait for it to completely dry and then try to add on. And I just tried to add on more and it just kept doing it over and over again. And I had the same problem with a brush, so I think the silicone applicator did a much better job in that because I didn't have to be tapping it on and I was just able to swipe it on. Something else I wanted to mention is while in the swatches they look pretty opaque, I would not necessarily want to do that on my lids because I think that would lead them to flake off a little bit more, because just like with any other eyeshadow, when you put too much of a thick layer on, it just doesn't really want to stay on, and it also causes the accentuation of the lines that you have on your lids. So I would not layer these. I think these are beautiful as they are, just almost iridescent with color shifts. Now I would definitely like to try more of these, but I'm a little bit skeptical because of how different these two were in application. I much prefer the Devious formula. I'm sure they're the same formula, but I prefer that it has much smaller particles. But I will be keeping an eye out for some sales in the future. And that is all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. It was a little bit different for a Multichrome Monday. It was a different kind of product, and I think that's really exciting. I think it's really fun to try different types of multichromes that are just not pressed or loose pigments. And I would love to see more of that in the future. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you like multichrome content, you can check out some of my other Multichrome Mondays. I have a playlist that will be left up on the screen as well as in the description box. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.